Sunlight, of course, is the best disinfectant. And we've maintained from the very beginning that the American people just deserve the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to the Epstein files.
Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority. So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch.
We got to talk about the Democrat Party, okay? Because I just saw this clip of Jasmine Crash Out Crockett, yeah, Miss Crash Out herself, where she went on CNN. Oh boy, when I tell y'all this whole Epstein situation is absolutely backfiring in Democrats' faces, it genuinely is backfiring. And part of me thinks that Democrats as a whole genuinely thought that Republicans weren't going to attempt to release the Epstein files. They were going to listen to Trump when Trump was like, bro, don't buy into this whole nonsense. Don't even worry about the Epstein stuff. Get rid of that stuff. Hush all the Epstein noise. They thought that everybody was just going to continue to go with that narrative. But then Trump said, just release everything so we can get past this because it's getting ridiculous. They're trying to use this as a political, football to score some points. And ever since Trump said that, they've all been going downhill. As you just saw that first clip there at the very beginning where, Hakeem Jeffries, I almost said Chuck Schumer. We don't get to Chuck Schumer. But Hakeem Jeffries basically put his foot in his mouth. And Jasmine Crockett is about to do the same thing. So with that being said, let's dive in.
One Democrat who's been on defense over Jeffrey Epstein is Stacey Plaskett. She represents the Virgin Islands. She was texting with Jeffrey Epstein the day of Michael Cohen's hearing. Her questions pretty closely followed the text messages between the two of them to ask about Rona Graff, Trump's longtime assistant. You were defending her today, or in recent days, yesterday, and you talked about Republicans taking money from a Jeffrey Epstein. Here's what you said.
Who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that...
Now, before she goes on to answer this, first off, my apologies, because I did air what Jasmine Crockett said about Lee Zeldin yesterday. And it was false, right? I did that before Lee Zeldin corrected the record and said that was actually a doctor that just happened to be named Jeffrey. That wasn't the Epstein himself. That was somebody else. So my apologies. Things happen. But Lee Zeldin corrected the record, and I'm here to correct the record with you guys as well to let you guys know that Lee Zeldin didn't actually get any donations from Jeffrey Epstein, but now she's being faced with the fact that, hey, you lied in front of everyone saying that all of these folks received donations from Jeffrey Epstein. Now, listen to how she tries to wiggle out of this because, oh man, you can do nothing but, palm face emoji. You guys ever, we've all seen the palm face emoji. Goodness gracious, check it out.
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled. And that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not. So I will trust and take what he says is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that.
You most definitely were trying. You most definitely were trying to mislead people with the whole Epstein situation. You know, she didn't say. There's a way that you can say that while making sure that people know. Well, this could be somebody else. She didn't do that. She said receive donations from Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, it's as clear as day. Caitlin Collins played the clip for us, right? So, yeah, she's lying. Most definitely lying. And Caitlin Collins corners her a little bit more here. So, take a listen to what she has to say, getting cornered even more. Check it out.
At maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people might see that and say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's what I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted sex trafficker.
Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out, not from just doing a quick search on FEC. So, number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein because I knew that we would need more time to really dig in.
Well, Stacey Plaskett was texting the Jeffrey Epstein that we're all talking about.
If you knew you were going to need more time to dig in, then why'd you even bring it out if you hadn't even dug into it? Come on now. Let's be real here. She wanted to imply that it was the Jeffrey Epstein that they got the money from. But she knows that the lie travels faster, much faster than the truth does. And by the time the truth gets a chance to travel around, nobody cares anymore. We see Democrats do this all the time where they throw out a lie, a blatant lie, and it's intentional, of course, because all people have to see or hear is just the headline. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And they know it's a blatant lie. But by the time the truth comes out, it doesn't matter. People have already formed their opinions about said person or said situation. Doesn't matter, right? They don't care. They don't care. It's intentional. It's intentional. Democrats do it all the time. And I've talked about it several times.
You voted against the censure for her to remove her from her committees. We pressed the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, on this last night. Maybe you don't think she should be removed from her committees.
Correct.
But why do so many Democrats seem unwilling to say it's inappropriate to be texting with a registered sex offender about what you're going to ask a witness at a congressional hearing?
So I'm not going to necessarily say that that's the case. Now, this is somebody that was a former prosecutor. Now, I haven't sat down and talked about all the specifics of why Stacey was doing what she was doing. I know that when she got up and she spoke, she talked about the fact that this is one of her constituents. At the end of the day, what I know of prosecutors is that they are typically talking to co-defendants. They are typically talking to the people that have the best information. And what you had the former attorney for the president that was sitting there. And honestly, we knew, or she knew, or at least Jeffrey Epstein presented that he was very cozy with the president. He had more information, registered sex offender or not. The bigger question is, why is it that the president was so cozy with a registered sex offender even after he ultimately ended up with some of his convictions? And seemingly, he had absolutely been on the plane with him. We know about the birthday card. The bigger question is, why is the president of the United States not the one that is in the hot seat for his relationship, instead of us saying, oh, you know what, we're going to take her off of her committee because he decided to text her. Stacey didn't initiate that chain. Jeffrey initiated that chain, and she took the information. Just like if somebody texts me.
Hold on. So you're talking out of both sides of your mouth, shorty. On one hand, you're saying Jeffrey Epstein and Trump were good friends, but then on the other hand, you're admitting that Jeffrey Epstein was helping a Democrat go against Trump. So which one is it? Which one is it? Is it they were friends or is it they're not? Because you admitted that Jeffrey Epstein was texting a Democrat, which is also kind of crazy. I don't care if it was her constituent or not, right? He had her personal cell phone number, texting her. That's not normal, okay? That ain't normal. How do you get her phone number? Right? First off. But second, how could Jeffrey Epstein and Trump be great friends when Jeffrey Epstein is sending a Democrat information to go against Trump? Make that make sense. Make it make sense. And you know, it's funny how Democrats, bro, they care so much about party and not doing what's right. It's honestly pretty wild. It's really, really wild to watch them defend anything and everything any Democrat has ever done or will ever do. Have you guys noticed that? Whenever a Democrat does anything bad, they all come out and defend it, or they don't say anything. Even in this recent election, right? With which one was that? Was that the Virginia election where Jay Jones, I think his name was, had the leaked text messages, and the I forgot her name now at this point, but the chick that ended up winning and will become governor of Virginia, when she was asked about it, she had nothing to say. She wouldn't condemn it at all, wouldn't really address it. She was asked about it three separate times to address it. She never would. Isn't that interesting? They care more about party than they care about doing what's right. And that is why the Democrat Party is in shambles right now. Carry on.
Yeah, but she was responding and saying, you know, what are you talking about? Quick, I'm up next. And then her questions were about Rona. But do you think that was inappropriate? I mean, would you text with someone who is a registered sex offender about what you should ask?
I honestly know that he had never been convicted of any federal crimes at that time.
But he had been in jail already.
He had been
got
in
a
jail.
plea deal.
And my deal is this. The Republicans are constantly texting with a 34-count convicted felon. So if it's okay for them to text him at any point in time, then I'm not going to say that that's right.
34 felonies, right? If you're going to compare these 34 felonies that they scrambled and bended and twisted to try to put together to a pedo, we got some issues here. We got some major issues here. If you're, excuse me, if you're comparing those two things, we got some major problems. And that is exactly what she's doing right here. Exactly what she's doing. Pay close attention to these Democrats. Boy, I tell you, it's something wrong with these folks, man.
Right or wrong, especially to the extent that you're talking about kicking someone off their committee. Were they sexting? Was it a matter of her being involved in the pedophilia? No, it was nothing like that. She was trying to understand. Let's say Jeffrey Epstein said, you know what? I have these pictures, these salacious pictures, because I know that the president got down and did these things. Do you think that it would be inappropriate for her to ask about those things if he said he had personal knowledge?
I think the context matters, but obviously it seemed like he was helping her. But I do want to ask you before you go tonight, because in your home state, we've talked about
yeah, so absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Comparing someone who took advantage of kids, right? Of young children to somebody or somebody's case where they bended and twisted the law to try to get some 34 felony counts is absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Anybody and everybody knows doing that versus these whatever. I mean, you could say that they're legit, whatever. I don't believe they're legit. 34 felony counts. I don't believe they're legit. But for the sake of the argument, we'll say they're legit. This is not that. Not even by a long shot. Not by a long shot. Not even close. We ain't even in the same ballpark. Not even in the same ballpark. But, of course, Democrats care more about party than they care about what's right. And that's why you heard those words come out of her mouth. Putting those two things on the same level is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Crazy. But hey, that's the Democrat Party for you, man. But as always, thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that like button before you go. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. All right? Hit that subscribe button and hit the bell button next to it so you're notified whenever these videos drop. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.